Imagine a model cop with an IQ over 160, a record for bravery, and a 2-gram-a-day heroin habit. This is the story of Dwayne T. Osborne. On a winter day in 1972, Dwayne Osborne, a 23-year-old narcotics agent, shot his daily dose of heroin and started home. But he never made it. Instead of heading home to Waco, he drove 100 miles to Austin and held up the Dial Finance Company, where he was well known. He made no attempt to disguise himself or his car, even though he had several sets of fake license plates. He was naturally arrested and convicted. "I watched myself do it, like watching me in a movie," Osborne told an Austin jury. His case was open and shut, but it didn't make sense. Osborne was heavily in debt, but he had $300 in his pocket that morning. Money wasn't the issue. He had 5 grams of heroin in his pocket that day. Osborne's court-appointed attorney, Laird Palmer, decided to base his defense on a transitory state of mental disorder. Caught in the squeeze of marital and financial difficulties, exposed to the treachery of a double life, Osborne suddenly snapped. Dwayne came from a large, God-fearing family in Amarillo. He graduated from high school with a B average and was a star athlete. In 1970, he joined the DPS as a highway patrolman. A year later, he volunteered for narcotics school and graduated near the top of his class. "In narc school, they gave us the impression of drug users as monsters," Osborne said. "The emphasis was on results, whatever it took to get them. Evidence was routinely rearranged to suit the language of the court. Entrapment was not only practiced, it was encouraged." Dwayne's assigned informer was named Rusty. Dwayne met Rusty while he was getting beaten by a veteran narc for forgetting to make a phone call. In the field, Dwayne heard other agents brag about burn artists, unscrupulous drug merchants who sold fake drugs. The most shocking revelation was that narcs used dope. "It's impossible to work undercover without using drugs," Osborne told the jury. Dwayne's first time out, he swallowed a red instead of shooting it. Rusty's eyes went moist like a dog anticipating his daily whipping. Back at headquarters, Dwayne got a tongue lashing from his supervisor. That night, Rusty taught Dwayne how to use a needle. Dwayne earned his wings and his appetite for barbiturates. A few weeks later, he shot heroin and really got off. On that winter day, Dwayne had just completed his Killeen assignment. He lived the life of the drug culture, from his bare feet to his scraggly beard. He thought about his wife, Gail, and his children. He remembered his supervisor asking Gail if she could handle seeing him with another woman. Dwayne had more than 20 cases, and all that remained was his testimony in court. He would face the people who had befriended him. Still the heartland of America, black and white thinker, Dwayne knew something was wrong. But what? The Department of Public Safety, with the explicit exception of the Narcotic Division, stood behind Osborne after his arrest. Several veteran highway patrolmen testified for the defense, but there wasn't a single narc in the courtroom. The jury didn't go for the insanity explanation, but they were convinced Osborne knew the difference between right and wrong. The prosecution asked for 40 years hard time, and the jury gave him 10 years probation. It was a way of punishing and rewarding him at the same time. After the trial, Dwayne and Gail moved back to Amarillo. Life resumed more or less as it always had. He found a new job, driving a truck. Dwayne went back on heroin. Gail got a divorce, and Dwayne went out and robbed the Northside State Bank of Amarillo. He is now doing 8 years in the federal penitentiary at El Reno, Oklahoma. The jury was spared this fundamental consideration. What is there in the experience of the hangman that leads him willingly to the gallows? Entrapment is the act of drawing a victim over a vaguely drawn line and causing him to commit a crime he would not otherwise have committed. The burden of proving entrapment rests with the citizen. A lawyer must convince the court that his client was not predisposed to commit the crime. "What is entrapment? I can't place the thought of an illegal act in your mind," said DPS agent in charge Elmer Terrell. But is that really true?